A bold move by the Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. He wants a fall election, but to do that, he's asking for the NDP to pull the plug on a deal they have with the Trudeau Liberals, a deal which keeps Justin Trudeau in power. So, is there any chance the NDP will actually agree, or is this just political grandstanding? CTV's Rachel Aiello is in Ottawa tracking our top story today. And Rachel, what are you hearing about this in the capital?
Todd, Pierre Poilievre wants Jagmeet Singh to pull out of his deal with the Liberals. And while it's a card the NDP have in their hand, they don't seem ready to play it yet.
Standing in front of where the Prime Minister enters Parliament, Pierre Poilievre called on Jagmeet Singh to help get Justin Trudeau out of office.
Break the costly coalition with Trudeau to trigger a carbon tax election where Canadians can choose.
The Conservative leader wants the NDP to force a fall federal election by voting to bring down the minority government when the House resumes next month. Poilievre says the Liberal NDP deal needs to end because Trudeau demonstrated this summer that nothing will change for Canadians and they can't afford to wait another year. But going to the polls early would also be to the Conservatives' advantage.
Right now, it would be a crushing defeat for the Liberals and Pierre Poilievre would be Prime Minister.
Through the two-party pact signed in 2022, Singh has advanced policies such as dental and pharmacare, progress his party is worried a Conservative government would put in peril. Responding to Poilievre's pressure campaign, the NDP say that leaving the deal is always on the table, but Poilievre wants to win an election because he wants to cut. The Liberals view Poilievre's push for an early election as a sign that he's getting worried.
I think it's pretty pathetic that the good news, the good economic news that we are seeing for Canada and Canadians, the Conservatives feel is bad news for them.
Todd, Poilievre is accusing Singh of keeping Justin Trudeau in power long enough to qualify for his pension, something the Conservative leader has already secured. The NDP leader will be eligible as of February, well ahead of the June expiry of the Supply and Confidence Agreement.
CTV's Rachel Aiello in Ottawa. All right, for more on what this move by the Conservatives might mean, our chief political correspondent, Vassy Kapelos, also standing by in the Capitol. And Vassy, what's your take on the story and whether the NDP would ever agree to this?
I think there's an almost next to zero chance, Todd, that the NDP does agree to go early to an election for two simple reasons. The first has to do with their electoral fortunes right now. They have not been able to gain any momentum at the expense of the Liberals' dwindling fortunes throughout basically the last almost year. So they are still polling at a level that would not see them gain any seats. In fact, if you look at the efficiency of the vote, they would likely lose seats. So there's no incentive for them to go anytime soon. The other thing is, this is my experience from talking to NDPers, they're pretty happy with the way that the agreement is going. They actually feel like the policy imperatives they wanted to see happen are happening, things like dental care, for example. They acknowledge they're not getting a lot of credit for them, but there is sort of an altruism in some corners of the NDP that they're happy with what the deal has done for Canadians and they're proud to stand behind it.
And Vassy, Rachel touched on this in her report a moment ago. We know the Conservatives way ahead of the Trudeau Liberals in the polls right now. How much of a factor is that, and perhaps Pierre Poilievre worried that his popularity, that of his party, is peaking too early?
Yeah, it's a great question. And certainly I've been trying to glean from Conservatives over the past few weeks. Are you worried about that? Like, really, you kind of only have one direction to go down, right? And my impression is the conversations, or the instructions, rather, I guess, given to the people who do surround Pierre Poilievre are act as though you are 20 points behind. And I think that's why you're going to see them come out a lot, particularly in the lead up and throughout the beginning of the fall sitting. I would add the caveat, there were, a lot of words spoken, a lot of phrases delivered, but not a lot of questions answered, right? Even the three or so that were posed didn't get very specific answers in response, including what kind of programs the Conservatives are prepared to roll back. So expect the Liberals and the NDP to go hard on that angle over the next few weeks. Todd?
Vassy Kapelos in Ottawa. Thanks, Vassy.